I was born in Hampton, Virginia, to wonderful parents who loved me very much during the 40s. And at that time, my mother was a homemaker. My father worked in the shipbuilding, ship dock, and we had a very nice home growing. Unfortunately, after about 10 years, my parents divorced. I guess they didn't see the light, but they saw the light in me, and that never faltered. So they always made it a special, special time for me at all events, whatever I had to do, the schooling, events that I participated in, they were both there. And subsequently, I was able to understand better, the situation, and that sometimes things just don't work out like you planned. And so we continued on as a family, although we were separated. But I had a village, if you will. And the village included extended family, friends, all of my neighbors around. So it was a wonderful experience in Hampton, Virginia. Of course, it was during the segregated time of Hampton. And for some reason, I just wasn't aware at that time that it was really segregated. Where we live, those non-blacks were across the street. And I just didn't realize that we were really segregated until I got into high school. My high school was a wonderful experience. We had teachers who loved us, who wanted us to succeed, and who worked with us daily so that we could succeed. The experience was just wonderful, and as I graduated from high school, my parents, of course, were there. I am the product of actual educators. I have an aunt, my father's sister, who just instilled in me that you gotta get an education. Once you get that education, they can't take it away from you. So that was an important thing for me at that time. And so I commenced to begin to study higher education, and I came to Buffalo. And at that time, it was a private institution, the University of Buffalo, and I studied education. And so because education pretty much ran in the family, the aunt that I just spoke about was a graduate of Columbia University, and that was way back there in the 50s. As a matter of fact, Eisenhower, her diploma is signed by Dwight D. Eisenhower. And at that time, because there was segregation, the state of Virginia would pay for you to go to any school that you wanted to, that you could get into. And so Columbia just happened to be one of them. And so she moved on to specialties in reading, in French, in education. And so I kind of wanted to follow that, that path in education, which I did. So to Buffalo I came, and that's where I met my husband, who was also in education. And we were both at the university at that time. We had a relationship going and subsequently married. And we married before I finished college. But it was long lasting, and bless his heart, he is no longer with me physically, but with me in spirit. So I still have all of those wonderful memories of my beginning life from Hampton, Virginia, to snowy Buffalo. Well, because most of the organizations that I belong to engage in events and education of young people. And I think that's my passion. Although I love just to work with anybody, any persons who are interested in working for the community. But my real passion are the youth. And so because I truly believe that they are, our tomorrow's doctors, lawyers, and so forth, that we really need to be with them and mentor them. So that has been one of the things that I have done to try to serve as a mentor to these young people in various capacities. We instituted a mentor relationship with leadership, in which the young people, we engaged them in skills, in learning, in writing, in speaking, and all the things that will help them as they further their education. I think mentoring is so important because as you move from one year to the next, or from one decade to the next, you always remember the person who tried to lift you up and to mentor you and to show you the right thing to do. And I think if we do the right thing, we won't falter as much. And if we do falter, we're able to get up, and move and go forward. So leadership in terms of the youth, in terms of trying to mentor them and trying to instill in them and encourage them to be who they are and to never, never give up, because they can make it. Yes, well, I have several that I'm very much involved in. First of all, the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was one of my first involved organizations. And actually, Alpha Kappa Alpha taught me some leadership skills that I further tried to teach others. I've been an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman for over 60 years. I am what we call a golden soror. So I have been a golden member, and I have been involved in all of the various programs and initiatives that have come down from our national organization. And many of them involve the students in the arts, anything having to do with education. We work with them in mentoring. So that was one of the first organizations that I really became very much involved in. And to this day, I'm still involved in it. I've served in the capacities of president, vice president, treasurers, and many, many other offices, as well as committees, in order to foster that kind of learning situation and community service. My other organization that I'm very proud of is the Links Incorporated, and I currently am an active member of the Buffalo chapter of the Links, and I have been just blessed to be what we call a platinum member with 50 years of continuous service. So that is the highest honor bestowed upon a member. So we in the Links are pretty much doing some of the same things that our counterpartners do in Alpha Kappa Alpha. The other thing that's important for both of those groups is that they provide scholarships for continuous education to our youth. And that's very, very, very important to me. And we continue to do that. We continue to fundraise and have various events so that we will be able then to provide these students the opportunities to attend, colleges or universities. And my last one that I think I joined that because I thought we had less work to do. However, it is the Girlfriends, and that's a national organization as well. And I served as the Girlfriends Fund president for 2 years. And its main goal is to provide scholarships and money so that the young people all over the country can apply for these scholarships. These are 4-year scholarships. So if they maintain their averages, then they're able to apply each year until they graduate for scholarship. So I enjoyed that very, very, very much. So those are the organizations that I belong to. But I'm going to give you one more that I'm very proud of, and that is my church. We provide scholarships for church members as well. I am presently a member of Delaware Avenue Baptist Church, where I have served as the church clerk and to provide whatever services that I can to help out. Well, I think one of the challenges is time, and maybe time management, because while I am trying to help others, I also have to help my own kids. And so to be able to go to work and come home and be available to them and to give them the same kinds of needed things that I would give to my students and other students around, I think that was a little challenge for me at that time. And I guess I've been doing this for a long time. My children were young when I was first invited into the Links, but they grew with me in service. We did a number of events in which they could participate, one being the Ebony Fashion Show that we remember forever. That was very important, and they learned some skills about leadership, about listening, about participating in community events. So I think it was the time management that I had to work on so that they would have the same opportunities that those in the community had from me. Well, racism, as we all know, is systemic, and it's all over. And although sometimes we see it as getting better, I believe it will be here forever. Maybe not to the degree that some of us, had during our upbringing and during our time, but I think they have to, first of all, get an education. I think they have to be educated. Education for me and for my husband, he always said education is the key. So get your education. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, graduating from a 4-year college. It might be a 2-year college, but you get that education or get that skill that's necessary so that you can move forward. And so if you have that skill, then you're able to move forward, do some of the things that will provide you with the opportunities that come. And when you get that opportunity and that door opens, take it. Don't say, I'm not sure, I'm not qualified. Let somebody else tell you you're not qualified. Go and get whatever you need to get once that door opens. Because see, once it closes, you might not have the opportunity to do it again. So I also believe that young people especially need to learn how to volunteer and to serve others. And I think if they are in the community and they're serving others, they are less likely to encounter complete racism. Because people tend to come together, to work together, so that they can make changes in our communities. So I think if they volunteer, they get educated, and they share, so that once you get your education, don't go away, stay there, pick up the next person, and share what you have learned with them. And I think that will help them as they move forward.